हरे राम राम हरे हरे Hare Krishna. So welcome to the Bhagavad Gita Sarartha Varshini Tika along with the Rasika Ranjan, which is the sub-commentary to Sarartha Varshini Tika. We have up till now completed the 7th and the 8th chapters. So now we are going to begin a new chapter, which is the 9th chapter, which is called as the most confidential knowledge or Rajaguhya Yoga. This is one of the most important in the middle 6 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita. So let's begin with this chapter, and I will later on discuss the overview also. This is again from Vishwanath Chakra Thakur's commentary. The majestic aspect of the Lord as the object of worship suitable for his servants and the excellence of that pure devotee are described clearly in the 9th chapter. So what is happening in the 9th chapter, if you see, I hope devotees remember, how one's mind becomes attached to Krishna. What does Krishna say in 7.1? How can the mind become attached to Krishna? What is the way? Anyone? I hope you have not forgotten now the 7th chapter which we have discussed quite elaborately. What is the way by which the mind can become attached to Krishna? Dear Krishnaji.
हरे कृष्ण गुरु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम। मय्यासक्त बना पार्थम योगम युंजम मदाश्रय असंशयम
Yes,
समग्रम।
that verse is saying that then that is the goal, Maya
Then
Sakta.
प्रभु
So, but
अभ्यास
why
योग
would
युक्तेन चेतसा नान्यगामिना तो परमं पुरुषं दिव्यम याति पार्थानुचिंतयन् चिंतयन्।
what is how one's mind can become attached to Krishna? What does Krishna? Anyone else? Sri Lalita Mataji?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hmm.
By
Yes.
yes, Prabhuji, by practicing Bhakti Yoga, our mind becomes.
Very, very nice, simple answer for everything. But what does Krishna say? Maya Sakta Mana Partha Yogam Yunjan Madashraya Asamshayam Samagramo Mam Gyatad Vyasati Tatshri.
In
So
full
how the
consciousness
mind
of
can
Krishna, thinking of Krishna.
huh?
I mean, practicing Bhakti Yoga in full consciousness of Krishna. I mean,
No, but
giving up
we
other.
want to
Yeah.
we don't want your answer.
Yes, sir.
We want Krishna's answer.
Yeah.
How Krishna is, Krishna is telling how your mind can become
We can hear
attached to
from,
him.
like hearing by Shinvatam. Is it that, Prabhu?
What Krishna, that's what. See, the hint is given here in this statement itself. The hint is very much given. You need not scratch anywhere else in your head. Hint is given.
We should be free from doubt, Prabhu.
Actually, nothing is there in that verse, in fact, if you see.
You tell, Prabhu.
If I only tell, then what is the point? You all hearing then? Yes, Nandini Mataji.
हरि बोल प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम।
Hmm.
प्रभु जी, by practice
Practice of
yeah,
what?
practice of devotional service, like in full Krishna conscious. practice of bhakti yoga, devotional
Okay.
service.
Okay. Fine.
And
That's okay.
like from previous chapters, we can connect like by practice and detachment, and it means attachment to Krishna.
Now, what is that practice? Tell us.
Practice of devotional service by nine
Yeah,
limbs
but
of
now,
bhakti.
yeah, yeah. But what is now Krishna giving to do that?
Krishna giving means like in this
What is Krishna telling?
practice of bhakti yoga, devotional service to him.
Okay, 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 okay. I understood that we are not able to understand. Okay, okay. How the mind can become attached to Krishna? Krishna says by jnanam, you know, I'll give the knowledge and vijnana. And what is this jnana? Aishwarya jnana. And what is this vijnana? Madhurya jnana. Aishwarya jnana, he starts speaking from 7.4 onwards. How these energies, they are all belonging to me. And how you can see Krishna in his energies, 7.7 to 7.12. You know? So Krishna has been giving that Aishwarya Gyan in 7th and 8th chapters. Now in the 9th chapter, it is a combination of Aishwarya and Madhuri. In the 9th chapter, combination of Aishwarya and Madhuri. This is what is happening in the chapter. So this is the statement here. You see the majestic aspect of the Lord, Aishwarya Gyan, as object of his suitable for his servants, and the excellence of that pure devotee as described clearly in the 9th chapter. Bhakti is superior to karma, gyan, yoga, and other processes as described in the 7th chapter. Bhakti has been proved it is superior, As such bhakti is either pradhani bhut or kevala. Okay. In pradhani there is, mixture. That's it. In kevala it is pure. And amongst the types of bhakti, the supreme position of kevala bhakti, which is extremely powerful, not dependent on the purity of your heart or other elements like gyan, has been shown. So this also has been clearly shown in now these two chapters. Krishna has proved the superiority of Karma Mishra, Jnana Mishra, Yoga Mishra Bhakti to Ananya Bhakti. He has proved it in the 7th and 8th chapters now. The 9th chapter begins to speak of the powers of the Lord required as knowledge in order to perform that pure Bhakti, Kevala Bhakti. Now, the more one understands Aishwarya, the more, it will lead to Madhurya. The more Gyan will lead to Vigyan. Madhurya here is not the Madhurya Ras, as I mentioned, the sweetness. So, the more you understand the powers of the Lord, the more you develop intimacy to the Lord. I was giving this example, if you remember, like you had a very close, very close friend of yours right from your school days, and you're very heart to heart friends. And after many years, you meet, and again, that same closeness, heart to heart friendship is there. But now you understand that your friend that time was a childhood friend. Now, that time also he was, but now you know that this friend, my goodness, he is a multi millionaire. He owns thousands of companies on planet Earth. But yet having so much opulence, he is very humble. He doesn't boast himself. He's prideless. He's very simple, and he doesn't bring out all his opulence. Show off. How much your intimacy, understanding this knowledge of how wealthy he is. But seeing his qualities, how much intimate that relationship will become. So in that sense, that is Madhurya. So now also Krishna is going to give Aishwarya Gyan, knowledge, but that will lead to what? Madhurya in the form of pure bhakti. Sweetness. We'll more get attracted to the sweetness of the Lord. So that's what Vishwanath Thakur is saying. So what you all were telling was also true, but I wanted to know from the flow of Bhagavad Gita what is happening, because the entire middle 6 chapters are based on Jnanam teham savijnanam idam vakshyami asheshata yagyatva neya bhuyanach gyatavyam avashishyate. If you remember, I'll have to show you that when we started the 7th chapter, on the second verse when we spoke, and we showed how this verse is, from this verse you can understand the complete flow. Jnanam, Aishwarya Gyan 7 and 8, Vijnanam. Of course, there is a Gyan given Aishwarya which will lead to more Vijnanam, Madhuri Gyan, chapter 9. And both together is chapters 10, 11 and 12. You know. So the more we know about the Aishwarya, the more we deeper connect to Krishna. And that is Madhurya. More sweetness, we realize how Krishna reciprocates with his loving devotees. So this is what will actually lead to Maya Sakta Manapartha, the goal, Prayojan. So that's what Krishna is trying to speak here. So I hope you all able to understand this connection now, which I'm trying to establish. I hope it is clear. Okay. Now there is an interesting thing. If you compare chapters 7 and 9, they are very similar. Know Krishna in full. The first 3 verses speak of the glory of knowledge about Krishna. The first 3 verses also developing Kevala Bhakti by knowledge about Krishna. Now Krishna is going to give more confidential knowledge, Gyan, by which we can develop what type of Bhakti? Kevala Bhakti. Because by 7th and 8th chapter, he has established also the superiority of Kevala Bhakti. Please remember this. Now, how to practice that Kevala Bhakti is revealed in the 9th chapter. Now, how Krishna is the source of everything material and spiritual, and how Krishna pervades everything, that, in this verses comes Krishna's inconceivable relationship with the material world. 4 to 10. This is the confidential knowledge which will help us to practice Kevala Bhakti. And then surrender to Krishna. Those who understand Krishna in various ways now, the impersonalist, mistake his body to be material, the Kevala Bhaktas, there are two extremes. And there are in-betweens. So here, those who surrender, those who don't surrender. And those who surrender to Krishna, in Itara, it was there. So here also, those who understand the inconceivable knowledge, and those who surrender are the Kevala Bhaktas. Those who surrender to, they don't understand this knowledge and consider something else. They are the Mayavadis. And then they are in between also here, characters. And then, there is a comparison done, about how, it's not done here, but here it is done. Kevala Bhakti is far superior to demigod worship. In fact, here it is mentioned in terms of the result that those who worship the demigods only go to the planet of demigods, but those even with material desires, worship Krishna, they get their material desires fulfilled and ultimately attain Krishna in Saloke. And then the glory of Kevala Bhakti is that Kevala Bhakti elevates even the most fallen. That is 29 to 34. So today we will start with this section 1 to 3, developing Kevala Bhakti by knowledge about Krishna. Now, I mentioned the parallels between 7 and 9, chapter 7 and 9, glory of the knowledge, nature of Krishna, how Krishna's inconceivable nature is there, Krishna's relationship with the phenomenal world, difference between devotees and non-devotees, and 9th is a deeper understanding of all is given here. Although Krishna has been giving the knowledge in the 7th chapter, the deeper knowledge is being given in the 9th chapter now. Okay. Okay, let's come to this. Shri Bhagavan Vacha idam tu te guhyatamam pravaksham anusuyave jnanam vijnana sahitam yajnatva mokshase shubhat. The Lord said, I will speak to you, te pravakshami, who have no envy, anasuye, the most secret knowledge bhakti, idam guhyatamam jnanam. So the most secret knowledge is bhakti. Guhyatamam. We'll come to this. And what is the qualification of Arjuna? He has no envy. It's not that he knows Sanskrit and he's very intelligent. No. This is the adhikar required. Actually, you know what qualification one has to possess to attain Krishna or attain bhakti to Krishna? Anyone? Let us see. What is the answer? Let us hear from devotees. It's very simple. What do you need to do bhakti? Yes, Nandini Mataji. Let's hear. Yes, Mataji.
Haribol Proji. Proji, it's faith.
Faith. Okay. You're right, but Govinda Nandini Mataji.
Hare
What do you
Krishna
need?
Prabhuji Dandavat. Purity of heart.
Yes, you're very, very close. Something. We need just a heart. That is the adhikar, a heart to love Krishna. Love means no envy. No envy. That's it. That is the adhikar required to. Yes, of course, faith is the beginning stages of bhakti. It is required. And faith means love in one sense. That you have faith in Krishna. You have trust in Krishna. That Krishna is there. He exists and he will protect me. Yeah? He is the Lord of my heart. You have that conviction in the heart. So this is what is required to practice bhakti. You don't need any head knowledge. The gopis were not highly educated, but they had unconditional love, towards Krishna. So this is the adhikar required in one sense, in a deeper sense. So you have no envy. And that's why, because you have no envy, the secret knowledge, guhyatamam jnanam, along with the realization of me, Vijnana Saitam, you can see Gyan and Vigyan, these terms which Krishna used in 7.2 are again here. Knowing which you will be free from suffering. Yad gyatva mokshase ashubhat. Now tell me, where did you come across exactly this fourth line? Yad gyatva mokshase ashubhat. Anyone knows? Where did you come across this? Yad gyatva mokshase ashubhat. Anyone? You're all attending the regular Bhagavad Gita classes as far as I know. Vinita Mataji, where has Krishna spoken Yad gyatva mokshase shubhat?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji Dandavat. Prabhuji, no. I have no idea,
Pardon?
Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I am not aware, Prabhuji. I have heard all, but I'm not able to remember.
Okay, some hint I have thrown. Fourth chapter. Anyone knows?
That famous shloka
Shloji,
4.27.
4.27. Sri Lalita Mataji, yes. Yes, Sri Lalita Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. 4.16. Kim karma kim akarmeti.
You remembered this verse or you saw the book now?
I saw the book now.
I could understand with your confidence you're speaking that you have seen the book. That's also good, but in one way.
I saw the book.
Yeah, that's good. I'm very happy because at least you're keeping the book with you, Bhagavad Gita. So please mark in your books now
Okay.
and see there, There, Krishna was speaking about how knowing this karma, you
Yes.
will, become free from bondage. But here it is deeper, in a deeper sense, this term has been used. You will be free from the cycle of birth and death. You will attain me. In that sense, here it is. Okay. So now this term, Guhyatamam, in chapter, what is Guhyatamam about chapter 9? In chapter 2 and 3, knowledge about the soul is called Guhya. In chapter 7, 8, knowledge about devotional service, Guhyatara. But in chapter 9, it is knowledge about pure service, Guhyatama. So that's why it is called Rajaguhya. Okay, again, Vishwanath Chakravarti's statement is repeated in the purport. The majestic aspect of the Lord as an object of worship, suitable for his servants, and the excellence of that pure devotee are described clearly in the 9th chapter. So, Aishwarya Gyan is there, but that Madhurya, which leads to pure Kevala Bhakti, is also described in the 9th chapter. Bhakti is superior to Karma, Gyan, Yoga, and other processes. As described in the 7th chapter, such Bhakti is either Pradhani Bhuta or Kevala. Either it can be Pradhani Bhuta or Kevala. And amongst the types of bhakti, the supreme position of Kevala Bhakti, which is extremely powerful, not dependent on the purity of the heart or other elements like Gyan, has been clearly shown. This has been now clearly proved in the 7th and 8th chapters. The 9th chapter begins to speak about the powers of the Lord required as knowledge in order to perform that pure bhakti. So now you can see, please try to understand this flow, and you'll slowly over a period of time start relishing actually the ocean of mercy and compassion of our founder Acharya, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Because, this pure devotional service, Prabhupada is speaking right in the first chapter. In all his purports, he's giving his Bhaktivedanta purports how to practice pure devotional service. But within the flow of the Bhagavad Gita, if you go with the flow of the Bhagavad Gita, now in this 9th chapter, in the 7th and 8th chapter, the glory of Ananya Bhakti has been established. Now, how do you practice Ananya Bhakti? You need knowledge of the Lord to practice that kind of Ananya Bhakti. So now Krishna is giving that knowledge. But Prabhupada is giving that knowledge right from the first chapter. Everywhere his purports are based on how we should practice Shuddha Bhakti only. So that is the mercy of the Acharya, no? And sometimes that's why it's difficult to fathom. That's why we should study, sometimes this kind of you know, it is called as, there is a thematic study and the Saratim study. Saratim is verse by verse based on the flow of the Gita. So here Prabhupada is Vishwanath Chakravarti is making that this 9th chapter begins to speak about the powers of the Lord as knowledge required as knowledge in order to perform pure Kevala Bhakti. The Gita is the essence of all scriptures. Sarvo Upanishado Gavo. And the essence of Gita is the middle 6 chapters. So within the Gita 18 chapters, the essence is middle 6 chapters. The middle of those 6 chapters. Now in the middle of 7 to 12, in that middle is 9th and 10th. The 9th and 10th chapter is the further essence of the 6 chapters. Wow. Okay, I used to make this statement regularly that within the middle 6 chapters, the middle 2 chapters, 9th and 10th, are the most confidential or most essential chapters. But I never knew that this statement is there in Vishnu Chakravarti's commentary. In 3 verses, the Lord praises what he will be describing in this chapter. He's going to praise the glory of that knowledge in three verses. The Gyan which gives liberation described in the 2nd, 3rd, and the other chapters is Guhya, secret. I showed that. The knowledge which I revealed in the 7th and 8th chapters, which is suitable for attainment, means the method of knowledge, bhakti, by which Bhagavan is known, is Guhyatara, more secret. That 7th and 8th chapter is more secret. Guhyata Tar. Note, Gyan is defined as that by which something is known. Thus, Bhakti is called Gyan, since by Bhakti, Bhagavan is known. So, Gyan here means Bhakti. You have to understand. In this chapter, I will speak to you about the knowledge, speak to you knowledge about Kevala or Shuddha Bhakti, which is far Guhyatama, most secret. By the word Gyan or knowledge, one should understand it means only Bhakti, not the well-known Gyan mentioned in the first 6 chapters. In the second verse, by using the adjective avavam or indestructible, it must be understood that this knowledge is beyond the gunas. Bhakti knowledge, the knowledge of bhakti is beyond the gunas. And I usually use the frame bhakti sambandhit gyan. This gyan is related to bhakti, so it's directly bhakti. Like right now, we are studying Bhagavad Gita. It is gyan, but it will lead to bhakti. It will lead to becoming more devoted to Krishna, more surrendered to Krishna. So this is bhakti itself. So bhakti sambandhit gyan. That's the difference. It is bhakti which is beyond the gunas, not the gyan mentioned earlier, which is in sattva guna. Previous gyan which was mentioned in the first 6 chapters is sattva guna. The word dharma means only bhakti as well. So there the word dharma also means bhakti only. I will teach this most secret bhakti to one who is not hostile or selfish. Anusuyave. Hostile towards me, nor is selfish. Selfless. This indicates that there is a rule that bhakti should only be taught to one who is not selfish or inimical. Now, this is more about pure devotional service. So, initially, we can speak about how to practice bhakti, basic, all these things. But this kind of a confidential knowledge requires further adhikar. So that is why, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is mentioning, I will teach you this bhakti gyan, culminating in direct realization of me, vijnana sahitam, by which you will be freed from rebirth or freed from all obstacles to bhakti, ashubhat. Okay, Bhaktivinoda Thakur. The spiritual knowledge explained in chapters 2 and 3, which is helpful for attaining liberation, is confidential. The more confidential knowledge of Bhagavan, Guhyatara, described in chapter 7 and 8, cause the rise of bhakti. The present chapter gives knowledge related to pure exclusive devotion. So that's Guhyatara, Guhyatama. This knowledge is most confidential, Guhyatama. Only with the help of this confidential knowledge can one attain freedom from the inauspiciousness of this world, Ashubhat, which rises from the 3 modes of nature, attain a transcendental nature. So completely, anything in this material world, whether it is in the goodness or ignorance, it is within the 3 modes. So everything is Ashubh in one sense. There is nothing auspicious. Okay, 9.2. Rajavidya Rajaguhyam Pavitram Midamuttamam Pratyakshavagam Dharmam Dharmyam Susukam Kartum Avyayam. So this dharma means bhakti, which was indicated. And the soul is also avyaya, but here bhakti is eternal. Bhakti is indestructible. Bhakti cannot be destroyed. Even for that matter, if one commits offenses, one becomes covered. And when one goes through the suffering, the bhakti will manifest. So that is how powerful bhakti is. This is the highest type of bhakti, Rajvidya. The most secret type of bhakti, Rajaguhyam. The most purifying of all methods, pure Pavitram Idam Uttamam. And is directly realized. Pratyaksha Vagamyam, the highest dharmam, easy to execute, susukam kartum, and eternal. Bhakti is eternal. So directly, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is glorifying pure bhakti. And of course, Prabhupada also does that, but for each of these, he gives one paragraph. And devotees, please take time to read Prabhupada's purport on this. Practically, one paragraph he is devoted for each of these glories of bhakti. Raj Vidya, 1 paragraph, Raj Guhyam, then Pavitram, Uttamam. Pavitram and Uttamam he combines with the Pratyaksha Vagamyam, then Dharmyam, Susukam, Avyayam, like that, Moreover, this knowledge, bhakti, is the king of knowledge, Raj Vidya, meaning the king of worship. There are various types of bhakti, and this is the king or in the highest position exceeding all others. So, among different types of bhakti, the topmost is Kevala Bhakti. So, from that context, Vishnu Chakrataguru is translating. The usage of Raj Vidya is similar to the word Raja Danta or the front teeth. As in the usage of Raja Danta, the front teeth, the king of teeth, there is reversal of normal order of elements of the compound word. This is something to do with Sanskrit, which I am also not familiar. This is permitted according to the rule Raja Danta Ditvad. This is some rule I told you, Sanskrit. Of all secrets, it is the highest. Bhakti of any type is very secret. And of all types of bhakti, this Kevala Bhakti is the king, the most secret, Rajaguyam. Something very interesting, please mark this. What is the opposite of love? Anyone? Yes, Sri Lalita Sumki Mataji.
Hate.
Can you give a still more refined word?
Love, hate, dislike. Like, dislike, love, hate.
See, dislike is not a deeper emotion. Hate is also little deeper than dislike.
Uh-huh.
I want at the deepest level of love. Yes, Mataji.
Animosity.
Animosity, yes, but it is envy. Envy. Lust, anger, greed, illusion, pride, envy. So it's envy.
Okay.
And that is why if you are practicing Pradhani Bhut Bhakti, it's not the most secret knowledge. And in one sense, the love is not so deep because you still, have Sukha Aishwarya. We want the opulence like the lords to stay in Vaikunta and all. But in only this bhakti, which we have been given opportunity in Kali Yuga, the most fallen jivas, this, there is consideration of offenses. And that's why offenses, are greatest obstacle in pure bhakti. I'm just bringing out this point because it was my deliberation that, why, especially among all the sampradayas, of course, those who are practicing bhakti, offenses are very seriously taken, especially in this Shuddha Bhakti, because it is completely, to do with love. And when you envy, that's why you envy the devotees, and that's why you commit offenses. That's completely diametrical opposite to love. So that way offenses, the chances of offenses are there. And that's why one should be careful of offenses. That's something, that point which came to me, I'm just expressing. It is called most purifying. Pavitram Uttamam. This Kevala Bhakti is most purifying. And that's why it takes you to the highest abode, Golo Vrindavan. Hmm. And because it acts as an atonement for all sins, it is even more purifying than knowledge of the soul. Tvam Padartha. According to Madhusudan Saraswati, it immediately outroots all the sinful reactions spread over many thousands of lifetimes, which are situated in the gross and subtle bodies, as well as uproots the cause of all sins, in ignorance, avidya. It is called the most purifying of all things. And based on this, Prabhupada has written very elaborate commentary in his Gita. And he has quoted Prarabdha Prarabdha Kutam from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. It gives direct realization, pratyakshavgamyam. And now he quotes for this Bhakti Pareshanubhav Virakti Anyatra Chaishatrika Ekakala प्रपद्यमानस्य यताश्नतः स्यो तुष्टि पुष्टिषु दापायोनुघासम. Devotion, direct experience of the Supreme Lord, bhakti, para ish anubhava, and detachment from other things. Anyatra virakticha. These three occur simultaneously. Esha trika ekakalasya, for one who has taken shelter of Krishna. Prapadyamanasya. In the same way, yata, that pleasure, fullness of the stomach, and relief from hunger. Tushti, pushti, shuddhapayo are experienced simultaneously with each bite. Anughasam, for a person engaged in eating. From this verse of Bhagavatam, it should be understood that the realization is constant, since the realization comes in accordance with the worship, and the Ananya Bhakta constantly worships the Lord. So you can understand this is very exalted. Ananya Bhakta worships constantly the Lord, and there is Bhakti Para Ish Anubhav, direct realization, Pratyaksha Avagamyam. That's why there is Virakti. If you only practice, if you are very, very hungry and one morsel of food you take, will your hunger be mitigated? Will you get tushti pushti? No, you should eat a lot. Okay, one morsel, every grain contributes to that, tushti pushti and mitigation of hunger, Shuddha Gasa. But one morsel will not do. You have to eat a lot. Similarly, when the bhakti is performed in large quantity and it is constant and especially it is pure, then we can experience this. That's what Vishwanath Chakravarti was trying to say. It does not deviate from dharmam, because though one may fail to perform all dharmas, religious duties, those dharmas are fulfilled simply by executing bhakti. Sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja. This is understood from the statement of Narad, that यतातरोर्मूलनिषेचनेन तृप्यन्ति तत्स्कन्दभुजोपशाखा प्राणोपरा प्राणोपरा प्राणोपहाराच्च यतेन्द्रियाणां तथैव सर्वर्णम् अच्युतेज्य. Just as the branches and the twigs are satisfied, yatha tripanti tat skanda bhuja upashaka, by watering the root, tarora moola nishechana, and just as the senses are satisfied, yatha indriyanam, by nourishing the life air, prana upaharata, by worshipping the Supreme Lord, yatha eva achyutaija, all worship is accomplished. Sarva arnam. So to prove this point, he quotes Narad Muni in 431. Unlike karma and process, bhakti is easy to execute. Sukham kartum. There are no extreme pains to the body, voice, or mind by renunciation of the senses. Since bhakti makes use of the ears and other senses as principal elements in hearing, chanting, and other process. Because it is beyond the gunas, the process of bhakti is eternal, avyam, unlike such processes as karma and jnana, which are temporary. Okay. Pratyaksha avagamyam, verification by experience, mitigation of hunger by eating. Tushti, satisfaction. Bhakti, inner satisfaction. Pushti, strength. Para isha anubhav, experience of God, strength of conviction. And Shutapayana, end of hunger. Virakti anitra, end of hankering. So these, you can compare in the devotional service. Okay. Okay. I'll take one more verse and finish this section, and then we will take up questions. अश्रद्धदान पुरुष धर्मस्यास्य परन्तप अप्राप्य मां निवर्तन्ते मृत्यु संसार वर्त्मनि. Can anyone tell what here Krishna is indicating by the term dharma? What does dharma mean here? Let us see. Who will answer? Tukaram Prabhuji. What does dharma mean here?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dharma means bhakti here, Prabhuji.
What type of bhakti? Pradhani Bhuta Bhakti or Guni Bhuta Bhakti? Now you have to be very, very clear. You cannot give a generic answer.
Kevala bhakti, Prabhu.
What? Yes, it means Kevala Bhakti. Yes. Kevala Bhakti. Dharma here means hearing and chanting. Very nice. O afflictor of enemies, Parantapa, those who do not have faith in this bhakti means pure bhakti. Asya dharmasya ashraddhadana purusha. Do not attain me, aprapya mam, and remain fixed on the path of transmigration and death. Mrityu samsara vartmani nivartate. Now, please, it is a homework. Please read Prabhupada's purport on this. Prabhupada is really very, very heavy. Although we might be having practicing bhakti for many years, but still our faith in Krishna is not deep. Prabhupada speaks about the Kanishta, Madhyama, and the Uttama there. You know, so many things Prabhupada speaks there. Please read that. So I'm just summarizing the Shraddha, whether it's weak or strong. Kanishta has weak faith, weak knowledge. Madhyama knows the value of association of sadhus, but his knowledge is still weak. And Uttama has value of strong faith and then strong knowledge, how to connect everyone with Krishna. How to connect everyone with Krishna. So that is the knowledge. Knowledge means seeing everything in connection to Krishna and connecting everyone to Krishna. So Shraddha enables us to overcome what? We are bored. Krishna is not interesting. We are distracted because other things are interesting and demoralized. I can't do this. But one has Shraddha, Krishna is Navayuvanam, Nitya Navayuvanam. And because the mind is attached to Krishna, there is no distraction. And because there is enthusiasm, nothing can demoralize you. Well, if this dharma is so easy to execute, as Krishna spoke in the previous verse, Susukam Kartum Avayam, who will remain in this world? This verse answers. Using possessive case instead of locative case in the phrase dharmasya asya is a poetic license. This is again to do with grammar. Those who do not have faith in this process of dharma, who think that the supreme position given to bhakti in the scriptures is just exaggeration, and who do not accept it with faith, do not attain me even though they make efforts to attain me by other methods. They remain completely nivartate is equal to nitara vartate on the path of transmigration, samsara vartani, pervaded by death. Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Faith is the root cause of this knowledge because the nature of this gyan, which is natural and pure attraction to me, the Supreme Lord, first awakens in the heart of the conditioned soul in the form of faith. Faith, it is faith. Everything begins with faith. O Parantapa, those jivas in whom faith has not awakened are unable to obtain this special knowledge, which bestows the supreme dharma in the form of attraction to me. Such persons remain disinclined and disinclined and extremely distant, not an. It should be and extremely distant from me, and they remain fallen in the material existence. Okay, so it is my humble request, please read Prabhupada's commentary on this purport. Very, very important for devotees. Very, very important. So this section I will not begin, but I will stop now and leave the forum for questions. Any questions, any clarifications you have? Yes, Bir Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu, why this, with reference to 9.2, why this knowledge is called most confidence, Rajguhim, Prabhu?
That's what Vishnu Chakatakur makes it clear. Prabhupada takes it from a different angle, but still he's speaking about pure devotional service. Pure devotional service, is the topmost secret. not Pradhani Bhuta.
Is it because it is so
Because
rare? So because of that, it is.
it's pure, you're approaching Krishna with no ulterior motives, not for dharma, artha, kama, or artho, arthartha, but purely to love him. You know, so that's selfless, right? So that's why Krishna avoids him. That's why it's very confidential knowledge. Just like simple, a father has 10 sons, and one of the sons is very, obedient to the father, very submissive, very
Got the
abiding.
point. Yes, yes, yes. Got
Ah.
the point.
So then the father reveals his heart to him,
Yes, 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 yes.
something like that. Yeah.
Understood. Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you very
Any other
much.
questions? Anyone else has? Any other questions? Any other clarifications? Yes, Vinita Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah.
I want to understand that volunteering to do something and service.
Mhm.
What is the difference between both?
Volunteering something or what you said?
Service to the Lord. Like we volunteer to do something. Is that seva or it is different?
No, I want to understand what exactly you mean when you say volunteer, I could understand.
Yeah.
Then what is the
So
other term?
when service
When you
like
are told
seva,
to see voluntary service, and there is service which is I'm trying to understand your question, and I know this is a very important thing. Sometimes, we are told to do service. Sometimes
yes,
we ourselves volunteer to do service. You're trying to differentiate between the two, yes?
yes, Prabhuji,
Ah,
yes, that
yeah.
is.
Okay. Yeah, this is very important. Prabhupada in the Ish Upanishads, I am not now able to get hold because my database is still not working. I would have. Prabhupada says devotional service is voluntary, natural, and a devotee has to take initiative. Very, very profound statements. And there is also one letter Prabhupada wrote to Karandar where he speaks about it. No, that the Bhakti Lata is the seed of Bhakti sown in the heart. And just like the Lata grows in the material world, any creeper for it to grow, it needs watering, but it needs a support. We know that, you always have a rod which the Lata,
Yes.
intertwines and then slowly moves up. So for this Bhakti Lata, the spiritual Bhakti Lata, it doesn't need any support of karma, jnana, yoga, anything, because this is transcendental, it is spiritual. If it takes
Mm,
shelter of something else, then it is Mishra. So
mm,
in order for that Lata to grow and also for the devotee to grow in spiritual life, he needs to, actually take the initiative. And, in the beginning years of apprenticeship practice, one should also practice under a guidance of the superior devotee, know the rules and regulations, spiritual master, follow the principles. But over a period of time, one should be self-inspired and, take the initiative that what I should do, for more loving Krishna,
mm,
to please Krishna.
mm.
So this kind of, initiative will help one to grow internally, to help one to grow in the Bhakti Lata. Otherwise, if it is a forced thing, then
Mm.
it gets stunted, you know. And it
Okay.
is not something, like in a company, you're paid for salary and, you have a boss, you have,
Mm,
employees who are accountable, you have higher levels of hierarchy. Of course,
mm,
here also we have, but, Prabhupada speaks about this in that letter I'll share that letter. Prabhupada did not want, in the Western world, I don't know who came up with this idea, they wanted to manage the finances having by a centralized account so that they can, allocate each centers, all the funds they wanted to centralize. So Prabhupada was very heavy. This type of control will, the devotees will lose inspiration.
Mm.
And, the devotees in each center should collect funds and be inspired to do, so he speaks a lot about that in the letter. I will share that letter very soon.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes.
And I'm just sharing this pastime. Prabhupada once came to London and all the European leaders, they assembled in in London. And all these big leaders, GBC, sannyasis, they were all sharing with the reports of their preaching to Prabhupada, And there was one simple devotee of Prabhupada who was also there and he was hearing. And then he felt that, all my God brothers are doing so much wonderful service for Prabhupada. I am not so qualified, but I would also like to please Prabhupada. I also want to do something. So when they all left, he asked Prabhupada, Prabhupada, what I can do for you to please you. And Prabhupada, very simply answered, what you would like to do to please Krishna, he asked. Then he felt maybe Prabhupada is testing me. No, Prabhupada, what you would like to do? What I should do? What you want me to do? We did the same thing. Then he felt, no, Prabhupada is really asking, me, I should really look within my heart. So Prabhupada, I'll get back to you. Okay, he said. Then he thought carefully and deliberated. And then he came and shared with Prabhupada. Prabhupada, that I see that especially in the northern countries, the cold countries, Prabhupada was very careful to get all the instruments, the mridanga kartals, and these mridangas were made of mud, but they could not sustain the climate, the cold weathers.
Okay.
So he said, Prabhupada, I'm thinking that why don't we make a fiber mridanga? Yes, Prabhupada said. Krishna is giving the intelligence. Dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayantute. Go ahead, he said. And that's how the first fiber mridanga was done by this devotee. And now also it is famous, So that the whole conversation, no? So a devotee should be inspired from within in the heart so that he feels that inner growth. And that is what is required in, and this is how the leaders should encourage the devotees so that they're inspired and feel naturally, otherwise, if it is, more of a, force thing, then, it is not so attractive to the heart, So that is the difference even in the material world and here in the spiritual life. Otherwise, how is it different? So
Yes,
that's what
Prabhuji.
I wanted to share. Is it clear,
I
Mataji?
got the gist, Prabhuji. Yes.
Any other questions anyone has?
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, so we'll stop here. The next section we will begin on Monday. Yeah, we'll begin on Monday. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Anant Koti Vaishnav Vrind ki jai. Hare Krishna.